Governor Tony Evers is expressing his strong opposition to the possible dismantling of that department, saying the move would, quote, be catastrophic. New for Maria Parmigiani is live now in our newsroom after speaking with the governor today about the impending cuts. Maria.
Bill, I spoke with the governor after a roundtable discussion with Green Bay business owners and community members at Kavarna Coffee House this morning. As a former teacher, principal, superintendent, and state superintendent, Governor Evers told the crowd he was confident that Wisconsin could still run our school systems, but says that the potential loss of money from the federal government would lead to cuts in special education program funding. He said it would be devastating for school systems and ultimately our children.
We have three branches of government in this country. One of them is doing nothing. That is absolutely wrong. So to say I'm ticked about that, damn right.
Governor Evers went on to say he thinks the loss of federal funding would cause schools to frequently turn to referendums for financial help. He's vowing to fight the proposed cuts and wants lawmakers on both sides of the aisle to do the same. Reporting live in the newsroom, Maria Parmigiani, Action 2 News.